We bring you MBC News with me, Simeon Boyce, and my sign language interpreter tonight is Lilian Bonda. Our top stories. President Chakwera is in Beijing, China, where he is scheduled to attend a summit for the Forum on Africa-China Cooperation, FOCAC. A leader of the House in Parliament urges members of Parliament to avoid sensationalizing presidential foreign trips. And the National Economic Empowerment Fund, NEF, announces plans to increase the loan package to 450 billion kwacha by the year 2029. Glad you could join us. President Dr. Lazarus Chakwera is in Beijing, China, where he is set to attend a summit for the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, FOCAC. The Malawi leader arrived in China earlier today and has since met Vice President of China, Han Zheng. We have a report.
Dr. Chakwera and the First Lady, Madam Monica Chakwera, arrived in Beijing, China, just after 9 o'clock in the morning of Malawi time. After a brief stopover at the residential villa, the Malawi president was officially received by China's Vice President Han Zheng. Dr. Chakwera expressed his gratitude to the Chinese government for relations that have continued to grow.
We are so happy that we can touch base again after last year's meeting, which again left a huge impression upon our team as to how friendly the Chinese people are.
The Malawi leader expressed hope that the FOCAC summit will create a new opportunity for further cementing relations between the two countries. In his remarks, China's Vice President Han Zheng said it was pleasing to meet President Chakwera again after last year when he delivered a keynote address at the Changsha Economic and Trade Expo. President Chakwera is expected to meet China's President Jinping on Tuesday. For MBC in Beijing, China, this is Chiembekezo Kapatamoyo.
Vice President Dr. Michael Usi says he will engage owners of buildings which were marked for demolition through a Red Star campaign by Blantyre City Council BCC. Dr. Usi made these remarks after learning that for the past 10 years, BCC has been failing to take action on the buildings because the owners took an injunction. We have details. Since his appointment as the Vice President of Malawi, the Vice President Dr. Michael Usi has been touring various development projects across the country with the aim of appreciating progress, giving advice, maybe listening to challenges, and also to see what government can do to make sure that they are working smoothly. Today, he was here at Blantyre City Council where he held a meeting in camera with Blantyre City Council officials. One of the issues, he says, was to do with demolishing some of the buildings which are not fit to be in the city.
Infrastructures, especially when you go to Limbi, the shops that you see there, they are not befitting, infrastructure in a city. So we are saying, yes, we know there has been an injunction and we are waiting for judgment. We respect that, but I've asked them to give me a list of the individuals that are owning those so-called shops. I'm saying so-called because they don't look, that good to be befitting as an infrastructure in the city of Blantyre and even Limbi. So they'll give me by tomorrow the names and the contact details of the individuals so that we see how we can, work together, that Blantyre should wear a beautiful face.
In his remarks, Chief Executive Officer for Blantyre City Council, Dennis Chinsel, has described the meeting as fruitful and says they will move swiftly to act on some of the issues that have been raised.
Despite that we have an injunction that is yet to be removed, What I want to indicate is that as of now, we still have a number of developers who are coming forward and they are expressing their interest willingly to make sure that they work on the buildings. So we'll continue engaging, and with the support from the High Office through the Right Honourable Vice President, we are sure that we are going to make some progress.
It remains to be seen whether Blantyre City Council will move with speed to act on some of the issues, because some of them have been outstanding for the past 10 years. For NBC News in Blantyre, I am Simeon Boyce. And now the spouse to the Vice President, Ella Usi, has held Seventh-day Adventist women from the northern region for their first ever gospel album music launch, which was held in Mzuzu. She said the album will go a long way in soothing people's hearts spiritually and transforming lives. Rudoviko Nyirenda has compiled this report.
The first ever gospel music album by North Malawi Women Mass Choir was officially launched at Grand Palace Hotel in Mzuzu, where wife to the Vice President, Madam Ella Usi, was the guest of honor. Madam Usi described the album as an effective way of spreading the gospel, saying the gospel as the album carries a strong message of God. Speaker of Parliament, Catherine Gotanihara, described the songs in the album as a tool to change women's mindset against negativity.
As women, let us always dwell on positivity. And this is not just about women. As a country as well, we're wasting too much time on negativity. And that is draining a lot of our energy, which we should have been using to develop ourselves, to develop our country. So I was pleading with the women that let them dwell on positivity.
One of the business tycoons that graced the launch, Dr. Ernest Kaunga, bought the album at 3 million kwacha and said other women should emulate the spirit that Northern Region Seventh-day Adventist women have showed to produce good spiritual songs.
They invited me all the way from Blantyre. So I said, no, let me give them a push. So it's like all the women in the North, STA, they gathered and they've come up with something. I couldn't just keep quiet. I couldn't. Yeah, that's why I've supported like that.
Director for the Mass Choir, Ellis Tave, expressed her joy that the Second Lady, Madam Ella Usi, the Speaker of Parliament, Catherine Gotanihara, and the business community and several other people, including top church officials and fans, supported the launch.
This album, as women, we sat down and think of how we can continually spread the gospel of God even outside our conference, our territory. So by doing that, we thought we should also reach to others by coming up with the album whereby people will be able to listen to our music and get inspired.
Mlenji Utuba album by Seventh-day Adventist women in the Northern Region has 10 songs, 90% of them in Tumbuka and 10% in Cheva. Rudoviko Nyirenda, NBC News, Mzuzu.
Malawi Congress Party First Deputy President Catherine Gotanihara has asked Livingstonia Synod to remain united to effectively implement developmental projects that will help transform people's lives in the country. Hala made the remarks at Mbangweni in Mzimba during the 2024 Synod Congress, where delegates elected a new moderator. Hassan Piri reports.
MCP First Deputy President Catherine Gotanihara, who represented President Chakwera, hailed the church for successfully implementing Mega Farm project harvesting groundnuts worth 68 million kwacha this year. She urged the church to share their developmental plans with other stakeholders to achieve a common goal of ensuring that communities are transformed. Hara, who is also Speaker of Parliament, urged the church to to use the Congress at Embangweni as a tool to unite.
We as a government, as a country, we need the church. And if the church is not united, it makes it difficult for us, especially as politicians, to be united. But if we see that the church itself is very united, that also forces us as politicians to follow in the same trend, because these are our parents. We are members of the church. I am a member of the Women's Guild in the Livingstonia Synod. If I see that in my church there's so much unity, that also pushes me to look at issues in a different manner.
The church also invited other political parties and organizations including MCP, AFOD, UTM, People's Party and Democratic Progressive DPP as a means of promoting unity in the country. Japi Muhango is the vice president for DPP, and he hailed Livingstonia Synod for being one of the churches in Malawi that are complementing government's efforts in education, health and agriculture in the country.
So this is a very, very important gathering by the Synod. It takes place every year. And as DPP, we are glad that we were invited. The Synod extended an invitation to Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika to come on and grace this very important occasion.
In his remarks, newly elected Synod moderator Reverend Jairus Kamisa, who has taken over from Reverend Ruben Nsoya, urged the CCAP Synod of Livingstonia Secretariat to work with him in promoting unity in the church. He said as a new moderator, he will not tolerate any seed of backbiting, gossiping and castigating. He said the church remains steadfast in fostering development in the country. Synod of Livingstonia organized the 39th Assembly Congress under the theme Worship God in Spirit and in Truth. Hassan Piri, MBC News, Mzimba.
You are watching MBC News with me, Simeon Boyce, and my sign language interpreter tonight is Lynn Mponda. Remember, you can access all MBC digital platforms by scanning the QR code at the top right corner of your TV screen, or get the latest news by subscribing to our SMS services by dialing *364#. A reminder of our top stories. President Chakwera is in Beijing, China, where he is scheduled to attend a summit for the Forum on Africa-China Cooperation, FOCAC. A leader of the House in Parliament urges members of Parliament to avoid sensationalizing presidential foreign trips. And the National Economic Empowerment Fund, NEF, announces plans to increase the loan package to 450 billion kwacha by the year 2029.
In Malawi, where the rhythm of life beats strong, there's a name that's been a beacon of trust for 7 decades. That name is Old Mutual. For 7 decades, we have stood beside you, weathering storms and celebrating triumphs. Since the opening of our first branch in 1954, we continue to help Malawians achieve their lifetime goals and dreams. 70 years of doing great things with Old Mutual.
It keeps getting better and better. After successfully opening Maranatha Capital Girls Academy, your request to open Maranatha Capital Boys Academy has come to pass. Welcome to Maranatha Capital Boys Academy, situated 50 kilometers from Lilongwe at Mponela Trading Center. We uphold our promise to produce the best in all students, a perfect diet, a conducive learning environment with dedicated members of staff is what we stand for. Turn that dream into reality by joining Maranatha Capital Boys Academy. Register now while places are still available by contacting us on 0888 993 232, 0993 832 832 and 0991 276 273. Maranatha Private Academy. We set the pace, others follow.
In Malawi, where the rhythm of life beats strong, there's a name that's been a beacon of trust for 7 decades. That name is Old Mutual. For 7 decades, we have stood beside you, weathering storms and celebrating triumphs. Since the opening of our first branch in 1954, we continue to help Malawians achieve their lifetime goals and dreams. 70 years of doing great things with Old Mutual.
Welcome back to MBC News. A leader of the House in Parliament, Richard Mwendubanda, has called on parliamentarians to avoid sensationalizing presidential foreign trips, adding that all who have traveled to China are there to ensure that Malawi fully benefits from China-Africa Summit. Mwendubanda said this in response to Blantyre City West parliamentarian Samir Suleiman, who alleged that the presidential entourage was bloated. He speaks to our reporter, Trust Office.
Government is not a standalone government. We're talking about the summit that is involving the whole of Africa. We're talking about China that provides services in so many areas, in the agriculture sector, in the education sector. We're talking about the construction sector. We're talking about different sectors, including the education sector. We're talking about different sectors across. So the China summit, it's a huge summit that requires comprehensive teams to go and do quite wonderful job there to bring back issues and results for Malawi. Now, if people are discussing about construction, you need engineers to be there. If people are discussing about agriculture, you need agriculture experts to be there. If people are discussing about education, you need them to be there. So just standing here to say there are so many people that have gone to China without providing us whose names are they and where do they work? Are they civil servants? Are they Malawians? What have they gone to do? Was it planned? Was it budgeted for? And will that bring results? That's how we debate in Parliament. You don't debate in Parliament by going and looking at who has gone out of the country. You're living a vacuum. You must bring evidence as what is it that they've gone to do. So as government, we know there are people that have gone. And there might be even more than 10, but they have gone from different sectors. Government is a huge institution. You have so many government MDAs that have gone there for work and are going to bring results.
The National Economic Empowerment Fund, NEF, has announced government plans to increase the loan package to 450 billion kwacha by the year 2029. The Chief Executive Officer for NEF, Phrase Nkhani, was speaking in Lirongwe during a review meeting on loan repayment performance this year. Emmanuel Chikonso has the details.
During the review meeting, the Chief Executive Officer for NEF, Phrase Nkhani, disclosed that since President Lazarus Chakwera's vision to reform and rebrand the loan program, the funds have increased from 20 billion kwacha covering the entire nation in 2020 to 129 billion kwacha, with a target to reach 450 billion Malawi kwacha by 2029. Nkhani added that government has introduced new loan programs such as Nkhani to support the most underprivileged who lack collateral. However, as President Chakwera and his government take bold new steps to boost the package and give millions of people a chance to escape poverty and improve their lives, Nkhani said some groups are hindering these efforts by failing to repay loans on time.
There have been rumors going around, and these rumors are refusing to die to the effect that the government has forgiven loans. This is not true. Government has not forgiven loans, and we are emphasizing as NEF that the people should repay their loans, including those loans which they took during MEDEF or MADEF time. If people don't repay the loans, then we will revoke the last solution or the last commitment or the last obligation, which is to seize assets of such type of people in lieu of the repayment and sell those assets to settle the loan in full.
The meeting also brought together legislators and duty bearers from villages and constituencies where loan repayments have been slow, despite NEF collecting over 80% of the funds. Nkhani said the delay is impeding efforts to create jobs and eradicate poverty. Senior Chief Masumba Nkunda in Lirongwe pledged to encourage all beneficiaries to settle their NEF loans by October this year. Jean Sendeza, Member of Parliament for Lilongwe Southwest constituency, stressed the need for beneficiaries to understand the importance of repaying loans on time to avoid compromising the program.
Because of poor and default in loan repayment, it has come to my attention that when we go back home, we need to insistise our communities on the goodness of loan repayment, so that those that want to access these loans, they should get the loans through the loans that we got a long time ago.
The NIF program has created over 500,000 jobs since its reformation, up from 180,000 jobs in 2020. The northern region has shown the highest repayment performance compared to all other regions. Emmanuel Shikonso, MBC News, Lilongwe.
United Democratic Front UDF says all is set for its elective convention slated for 2 October at Komesa Hall in Blantyre. Over 1,000 delegates are expected to elect new leaders during the convention. The party's convention chairperson, Aisha Mambo, made these remarks at a press briefing in Blantyre. Chisomo Break reports.
The United Democratic Front, UDF, says it is set to usher in the new leadership of the party at its elective convention slated for October in Blantyre. The convention's chairperson, Aisha Mambo Adams, pointed out that the budget for the convention is pegged at 140 million kwacha, which is a contribution from the party members and its partners. Mambo further said young people and women would pay 50% of the nomination fees as a deliberate way to give them room to compete at the convention.
In fact, as UDF want to empower the youth and the women, because most of them, as you know, when it comes for elections, they complain that they don't have enough resources. So as UDF, we said, how can we empower them? And this is one way of doing that, in making sure that the youth and women should be more in our party. And we believe that this coming election, the youth of this country are the ones that will determine the future.
The UDF convention comes after the Malawi Congress Party MCP and the Democratic Progressive Party held their elective convention last month. Chisomo Break, MBC News, Blantyre.
And in sports, the Malawi National Council of Sports has appealed for more corporate support ahead of the Blantyre 42.195 kilometer race, which will take place this weekend. Speaking in an interview with MBC, the council's Chief Executive Officer Dr. Henry Kamata said the corporate world has a role to play for the development of sports in the country.
This is one of the activities that we do as Malawi National Council of Sports to raise awareness amongst Malawians of living a healthy life, to raise awareness amongst Malawians to get involved in some sports, but also to raise awareness for the corporate world also to come in and partner with government in the running of these sporting activities. We are almost done. Everything is in place in terms of planning and the like, but I would want to appeal to the corporate world for sponsorship and for partnerships. For us to promote sports in the country, we need the corporate world. We need companies to sponsor, to partner with us so that we can advance sports in the country.
And that item wraps up this edition of MBC News. A reminder of our top stories. President Chakwera is in Beijing, China, where he is scheduled to attend a summit for the Forum on Africa-China Cooperation, FOCAC. A leader of the House in Parliament urges members of Parliament to avoid sensationalizing presidential foreign trips. And the National Economic Empowerment Fund, NIF, announces plans to increase the loan package to 450 billion kwacha by the year 2029. For more on these and other stories, follow our online platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and our website, mbc.mw. You can access all MBC digital platforms by scanning the QR code at the top right corner of your TV screen, or get the latest news by subscribing to our SMS services by dialing *364#. I am Simeon Boyce, and my sign language interpreter at night was Lin Limponda. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.